Alright, before I continue, there are a couple small things that I want to cover that I did not get a chance to cover in the last video, and I don't feel like they're going to fit into the next video. One of which being that I've been working in the channel rack mainly using one bar. As you can see here, that's one bar. These are all 16th notes, so every step, is 1/16th of a bar. But you can actually stretch this out and make it 2 bars. And you can tell 1, 2, 3, 4, you would want to make sure that you only have 16 boxes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and these are all sets of 4. So what I would do is I would go ahead and put in a snare here, one here, and one here. So now instead of 1 bar, I have 2 bars. And if I were to put that into the pattern mode, I'm going to set this to bar. I can left click, and then you can see here we have 1 and then 2 bars. So the pattern itself is 2 bars. So really, it's, up to you to decide whether or not you would rather make it like this, or if you want to just do 1 bar and then kind of copy it and paste it like I did in the last video. But alternatively, you can, make your entire kick line here. I can do something like this. Let me change the tempo down to 90. Right click, fill each 2 steps. And real quick, I'll go ahead and swap out the drums. So I haven't done anything, too crazy. I changed out the drums a little bit. Nothing you haven't seen me do before. But that allows you to kind of have, 1 bar right here, and then you can change up the drum pattern in the second bar. And as you might be able to guess, I can probably stretch this out to another 4 bars. So this would be another 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all 1 bar, and then another 1, 2, 3, 4. And then that would be a total of 4 bars right here. As you can see, it takes up a lot of real estate on my screen. But if I wanted to go ahead and I would add in my snares somewhere around here, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. And that's equivalent to having it on the 5 and the 13. Or, when you're counting the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 on the 2 and the 4. So basically I have a 4 bar pattern. As you can see here now, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And I can basically stretch this out. Let me just fill in some random buttons here. And again, coming back to the 808 hi-hat, I'm going to go ahead and fill every 2 steps. I'm not doing anything too impressive. I'm just kind of, adding a bunch of random kicks. I haven't really, heard everything. It's not really important what it sounds like, but I'm going to go ahead and play it. And if I were to play from song, you can also, see that I have a 4 bar pattern here. So another thing that I can do that I haven't talked about is that they have this button right here. Let me go ahead and go to pattern number 2. This is going to be only 1 bar long. So I'm going to stretch this back, and now I just have 1 bar right here. And that's perfectly valid if I wanted to, add this in. You can see it's only 1 bar, even though pattern 1 is 4 bars long. So I'll go ahead and fill in a snare. I'm going to get rid of pattern 1 in the song for now, and just have pattern 2. So again, I haven't done anything crazy. I'm not using my clap at all. I could delete it. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I just have a kick, I have a hi-hat and a snare. Right now in my song, I only have pattern number 2. I don't have that 4 bar pattern in pattern number 1 anymore. So all I have is pattern 2 going 4 times. And if I go ahead and play the song. And basically that repeats itself over and over. But another thing I can do to kind of give it more of a hip-hop feel is I can go to this button right here called the main swing, again referring to the hint panel up here. And if you click and drag up, and you can put it up to maybe like 70% or so, you can really, move this around a bit and listen to it and kind of get an idea for what you, sonically prefer. But for now, I'm just going to have it at about 75%. And I'm going to go ahead and play. So you can hear that it has a swing to it. It kind of gives it more of a hip-hop feel because it's not quite as perfectly on beat as the rhythm that we had previously. And I could have done the exact same thing with pattern number 1. The only reason I didn't was because it was such a long pattern that it's a little hard to see. But I'll go ahead and pull this back out. So this is the entire pattern, and I'm going to play from the pattern. So I'm not playing from the song. You'll hear the actual pattern here. And that's about all I really wanted to cover. Even though in this case we're talking about drums, I could easily go to pattern number 3. And if I were to add in a melody, I could go here to Tyrell N6. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Whirly EP. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch this back in so it's only about 2 bars long. So you can see that I have 4 groups of 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4. I can fill in my melody, again, going to half step. Whenever I'm in the piano roll, I work in half a step. And I'm going to scroll down. We can add in a little melody. So I can add in a little melody here. Notice that we have the bars 1, and then this is the second bar. So this is now a 2-bar melody. And if you look here in the channel rack, you can see that it basically takes up 2 bars. And then if I were to, put this into the pattern, I can left click. And this is a 2-bar melody. So if I go to song, and if I wanted to, I can go ahead and go to piano roll and I can make it 4 bars. I'll copy and paste by pressing Control-C, Control-V. And if I wanted to make one small little change to it, like, I don't know. Notice now it takes up 4 bars. And if I look in the piano roll, you can't actually see all 4 bars. It only shows 1, 2. But if I stretch it out more, this is the 3rd bar. And then here we have the 4th bar. That being said, I normally like to work with either 1 or 2 bars because as you can see, this is a little bit difficult to work with when it's so long. I just wanted to make sure that you know that that is an option, especially when it comes to working with 2 bars. If you're, starting out and doing things for the first time, I would advise that you stay away from doing anything with 3 bars or an odd number of bars other than 1. For the most part, you want to have some kind of uniformity where you have, 2, 4, 8 bars. If you're doing a switch up, you normally wouldn't do it with an odd number of bars. Like I've said before, in hip hop, it's very common to have 16-bar verses and then an 8-bar chorus. You might even have a bridge that is 4 bars, but it's very common to have an even number of bars where, like, for example, here I have 4 bars, and then maybe I'll have a switch up after 4 bars. And then after that, when I get to the 8th bar, I might have another switch up. I might go into the chorus, and then I might go into another verse. But usually you kind of do all of those things on an even number. And that's all convention. You don't have to abide by it. But especially when you're, starting out for the very first time, that is definitely something you want to stick to. If you don't conform to those rules, you're going to be making music that's not very good, and then you're not really going to understand why it's not good. Once you get to the point where you're making music consistently and you know what to do and how to do it correctly, then you can start breaking the rules and doing weird things that you wouldn't be able to do if you're a novice and you're doing it for the very first time. So the only other thing I wanted to talk about in this tutorial real quick is other people that are doing videos kind of like this that explain how to produce and use FL Studio. One guy that I highly recommend is Busywork Beats on YouTube. He also has a website. It'll be at busyworksbeats.com. But he has all kinds of videos about every topic of FL Studio, including sampling, which is something that I don't cover. But honestly, this guy has made so many videos, and he is honestly probably a lot better than I am, both at explaining things and definitely at making music and knowing music theory and things like that. So this is the type of guy that you want to, get advice from. I'm really here to kind of just introduce you, try to get people who have never done this to kind of learn the very fundamentals. But if you want to actually get better and really hone your craft, definitely check out videos from him. Another person who I know is an amazing producer is Chuki. He also has a YouTube channel at YouTube Chuki2. I haven't really watched a whole lot of his instructional videos. I just know him as a producer, and I know he's very good. And there are even more producers on YouTube, online, so go check it out. There's no shortage of people doing videos kind of like this. I personally haven't seen anyone do a really broken down, complete introductory video, kind of like the one that I did. So that's kind of why I wanted to make sure that I did that and, before I started introducing people to other videos, because I think a lot of these videos are a little bit more advanced and knowing how to do, certain basic things, like, for example, working in the playlist or installing drum kits or even making patterns in the channel rack. The things that are very, very basic that I think, get taken for granted if you've been doing this for a very long time, and things that might be intimidating to people people who have never done this. But I think, once you've watched the introductory video that I've done and even this video, you should have all the tools necessary to go in and kind of learn how to learn from all these more complex videos. So that's about all I have for this video. I wanted to, kind of shout these guys out, especially Busywork Beats, because he has an incredible repertoire full of instructional videos that you should really go check out. And for now, that's all I've got. Thank you for tuning in. Check out the next video and keep making music.